Good morning everyone. I welcome you all on today's class. Students, in the previous video, we have started the chapter number 12, Active and Passive Voice. There, I told you that the meaning of active voice is when a subject performs an action and the object receives it. And the meaning of passive voice is whenever we give importance to the object rather than the subject. Then that sentence will be the passive voice. Now, we can change the active voice into passive voice. But we have to follow some rules and regulations for that. And in your English grammar, to change the active voice into passive voice, we have certain points. There are 5 major steps by which we can change the active voice to the passive voice. And children, I am sure that if you people will remember all these 5 steps, then it will be very easy for you to convert the active voice into passive voice. Okay, so let's begin the rule. Rule number 1 is identify the subject, object and main verb in the sentence. Clear? So along with the example, we'll see all these points. The point number 1 is identify the subject, object and the main verb. Now suppose the example is Vivek shut the door. Now children, see, here we have given the importance to the Vivek. And we are showing that Vivek is doing something. So, what is the active voice? When the object receives something from the subject. Or we can say that when the subject performs the action and the object is going to receive that. Now here, Vivek is going to shut the door. So, Vivek is going to do some action. So, this sentence is your active voice or active sentence. Okay. See one more. Atul informed me. Once again, the action is done by Atul. And here we are giving importance to the Atul. So this is your subject and this is your active voice. So the meaning is, once again, when the subject performs the action and which is received by the object. Now, rule number 1, identify the subject, object and the main verb. Now see children, this is your subject and this is your main verb and this is your object. Understood? So according to the rule, we have already identified our subject, object and main verb in the sentence. See the second rule. Swap the subject with object and object with subject. So simple, we have to reverse. This will go to this place and this will come to this place. Okay, we'll do the second example afterwards. Now, what we can write here? The door will come first. The door. And Vivek will go in the last. Understood? So this is the second important rule. So the first one was to identify and second one was to reverse. That is, swap the subject with the object and object with the subject. Now, convert main verb into third form of the verb. Now, where is the verb? The verb is shut. Okay? And the third form of the shut will be shut only. So, what we can write? We can write shut, shut and once again the third form is shut. So, what to do? Shut. Okay. Now, this is your third form. Understood? read the next rule. Add proper helping verb before the main verb. Add proper helping verb before the main verb. So, we can write down the door was. Okay, rule I'll tell you. The door was. Then, see the fifth point. Add preposition by before the subject. So, before the subject, we have to add one preposition and that is your by. Now, see, the sentence is completed. The door was shut by Vivek. So, this is your passive voice. Okay. So, according to the all 5 rules, we have changed our active voice into passive voice. Now, see one more example that I have just written, that Atul informed him. Okay. The sentence was Atul informed him. Now I'll tell you that him will be changed into he and this we will do afterwards. Now see, first you go through all the 5 rules. The first point tells us that identify the subject, object and the main verb. Identify the subject, object and main verb. Okay. Swapping. Swap the subject with the object and object with the subject. So go to the rule number 2 now. Him will be changed into he. Okay. And Atul will go at the last. So we did this also. Convert the main verb into third form of the verb. Now informed, it is already in the some of the forms and it will be changed into third form. It will be informed only. So inform, informed and informed. So he informed Atul. Now as we are writing in the passive voice, go to the rule number 4. Add proper helping verb before the main verb. Now as it is in the past tense, we'll use was. Okay. Go to the 5th rule. Add preposition by before the subject. So before the subject, we have to use by. So now children, he was informed by Atul. So while making active voice into passive voice, the sense should not be changed. Sense should be the same. Only the method of writing a sentence will be changed. In the first case, we are giving the importance to the subject, but in the next case, we will give importance to the object instead of subject. Okay, but the sense will remain the same. So now the complete sense is he was informed by Atul, and this is your passive voice. Now I wrote one more example. Suppose if I wrote one more example. One more example was written by me. Okay, so this is again the passive voice. Now see. What I told you, he writes a letter. He writes a letter. Once again children, identification, subject, main verb and object. Point number 2, reversal, swapping. Okay. A letter, he will be changed into him. So what we did, we have simply changed the order. Okay. Writes, and third form of the write is written. Understood? He writes a letter. So, a letter is written by him. As it is present tense, this we will see afterwards when we will see the rules of present and past tense. A letter is written by him. Okay. Now, this is your complete passive voice. Okay, children. Now, the point is, I think so this much is clear for you to understand that what is the meaning of active and the passive voice and how we can change the active voice into the passive voice. Okay. Now, what are the types of sentences which can be changed into passive voice? The question may come in our mind because somewhere we have seen that I have written the past tense, somewhere I have written the present tense, and like this only. So what are the sentences? What are the types of sentence which can be changed into the passive voice? So children, if you remember, then we can change the present tense, the past tense and the future tense into the passive voice. Okay, now I am going to write it on the board so that you should not misunderstand this or forget this. We can change the present tense, okay, the past tense and the future tense into the passive voice. All the three tenses can be changed into their passive voice. But we know that we have read about 4 different types of tenses in all these categories. Out of that, only 3 can be changed into the passive voice. For example, we can change simple present tense. We can change present continuous and present perfect. In the same way, we can change simple past, okay, past continuous and past perfect. At the same time, we can change simple future, then future continuous and future perfect tense into the passive voice. So all these type of sentences, that is simple in all the present, past and future, continuous in all the present, past and future, and perfect tense in all present, past and future, we can change it into the passive voice. If these sentences are written in the form of active voices, then we can change all these things into the passive voice. Then what are the sentences that cannot be changed? We cannot change the perfect continuous tenses. Perfect continuous tense of all the 3 forms cannot be changed into passive voice. Okay, so this is the rule for changing the active voice into passive voice. Now, just have a quick review, children. We can change the active voice into passive voice by following simple 5 steps. Step number 1, to identify the subject, object and the main verb. Step number 2, swapping of the subject to the object and object to the subject. Point number 3, conversion of main verb into the third form. Point number 4, addition of suitable helping verb. And point number 5, addition of preposition by just before the subject. Okay. So this is a method by which we can change the active into the passive voice. Then, what are the different type of sentences which can be changed into passive voice? And the sentences are here that we can change all the 3 simple forms, all the 3 continuous form, and all the 3 perfect forms into the passive voice. But we cannot change any form of perfect continuous into the passive voice. So, this is all about the today's class. Now children, in the next part, we will see the rules of changing the present forms into the passive voice. Okay? Thank you everyone.